Welcome to Mogobe Nuggets of Wisdom podcast. My name is Mompoloki Lerumo Mogobe. Our objective is to enthuse, inspire, energize, and empower entrepreneurs and entrepreneurs of all stripes here in BW and beyond. We do so by inviting these entrepreneurs and entrepreneurs into our makeshift studio. Sometimes we call them to the restaurant, sometimes we go to our studio, and we ask them to share their experiential knowledge, their experiences and their expertise. And we ask them as many questions as we can, aimed at empowering you also as a viewer. Hello and welcome to another episode of Mogobe Nuggets of Wisdom podcast. I'm Mompoloki Lerumo Mogobe. We bring you exciting business information right here from BW. And I have yet another guest who's going to really enthuse, energize, and inspire you. But before I bring him on, can I just ask you to do what the needful in terms of pressing that subscribe button? Just hit that button, please. Welcome to the studio, sir.
Oh, thank you for having me over.
Yeah. Just tell them your name and share a little bit of your background.
Okay. My name is Tumelo Sengawane. I'm the executive director of an NGO called Drug Free is the New Cool. I'm also a recovery coach.
Okay.
I deal with helping people recover from alcohol and substance use. I also deal with doing awareness projects and also coordinating them. So we started this whole thing around 2016, 2017 it was registered. The whole reason behind this is because of my past experience and the people that I've shared my life with who are going through the struggles also, the people that I've lost also. It happened that I started to realize that we've been in trouble and nobody has actually been putting a hand to it. So I was like, let's start talking about it. Maybe it will help. Maybe we can find the right people who put a hand in it so that they also help us. Little did I know that it was going to be a long journey that was going to teach me a whole lot of things.
Yes.
A journey to change a whole lot of things in my life.
What is your professional training and background yourself?
My background is human resource management. Yeah, it's something that I just use here and there to actually create, let me say, strategies of the organization, a bit of marketing here and there, because when you do these things at school, the other things that you do is marketing, management, and all that. So I thought, okay, since I am on this path and I want to start an organization that deals with this, let me run it the right way. Let me use the knowledge that I got from school and apply it here, not only on the HR side, but also the business administrative side of it.
Okay. And tell us about your organization. What's it called exactly, and where is it operating from?
Okay. Our organization is called Drug Free is the New Cool. It's operating from Tlokweng. It's about
Drug Free is the New Cool.
Drug Free is the New Cool. We're trying to promote
PTY Ltd.
Yeah, no. It's an NGO.
Yeah.
It's registered under the Societies Act of Botswana. Yeah, it deals with prevention and treatment. So we've been doing a couple of awareness projects, a lot. Don't let me not say a couple, because it's been in existence. And we've been doing treatment programs. We've worked with a lot of corporates and all that. So I'd say it's been running for some time.
Yeah,
it has a story to tell.
Let's describe the program, the problem in the society. Can you just break it down in simple terms? Where is the problem? Where is the challenge that we're having as a society when it comes to drugs?
When it comes to drugs, I think we still lack a lot of knowledge when it comes to drugs. Hence, there's a lot of stigma around it. Hence, people are not getting enough help, Because if there's a lot of stigma, a lot of people are going to shy away from these things. You look at it, families will hide the problem that they're having. People who are having the problem will hide the problem that they're having, and even people who just engage in these things, having lack of knowledge on such things, which means that we sometimes make decisions, not informed decisions, but decisions influenced by what you call music, videos, and influenced by other things like what we see on TV. But is it that informed? Is it facts, or we're just looking at what should I call this? Myths around the whole drug thing.
Yes, which means I really want you to break it down. What typically are we? What sort of problems are we having? What sort of drugs are actually, if you like, torturing us as a society?
We will always have the socially acceptable drug that we know in our country. It's alcohol. People will ask you, are you okay?
Yeah.
What's wrong? Should I buy for you? So we also have Zolo weed. Weed will always be on top also. Now we are looking at the growth of cat, which is very, very, very troublesome these
What
days.
is that cat?
Cat is it's a white it's a white substance, usually taken in by snorting, but you crush it and then make like
Is it
more like
similar to cocaine?
It looks like cocaine, but it's not cocaine. The effects are more of cocaine. I was introduced to cat around 2012. That's when I started, taking cat also. It had similar effects, but not lasting. They don't last that much. Yeah.
So do you yourself have a personal story?
I have a personal story.
Can you share it, please?
Yeah. My story is so long, but I always like to try and get here and there because it involves many substances that I've used. Because I've abused alcohol. I'm an alcoholic. I suffer from.
You used to be.
I suffer from substance use disorder. I can't say I used to be. Recovery is a long-term process. It's a lifetime process. That's why you always have the urge to use. I just manage my recovery. I say I don't feed my addiction. I refuse to feed my addiction, knowing that it comes with a lot of consequences. Something that I didn't see when I was in active addiction, So I started off with alcohol. I went from alcohol, smoking weed at the early age of 13, 14, and then smoking cigarettes. You continued 16 years, 17 years. And then I went to university, But at the age of 18, I think my alcohol intake went up when I lost my father. I was doing my Form 5. I had to take myself serious. I had to pass my Form 5, which I did, But my mother and my sisters were the people that I always said to myself, I have to do something for them. I thought I was the man of the house, but the pressure was too much. And then my alcohol intake went up. Smoking weed was too much, But it was always that part of culture where people would praise me for those things. And then fast forward, first year, second year, my girlfriend passes away too. And then I was introduced to a drug called cocaine. It was at a party. People are just chilling, having a good time.
Gabs.
No, in Joburg.
In Joburg,
yes. I was schooling in Joburg.
Okay.
Yeah, I was schooling in Joburg. So it was fun, girls, everything, And I was like, why not? If they're having fun, I don't think it can kill me, And I could see that they were having fun. I don't want to lie to people and say when the first time I had it, I felt any type of pain. Coke, when I had it, I felt like a Superman. I felt like I'm motivated. I had so much confidence. But I felt bad.
All that I was false, isn't it?
Yeah, it's short-lived. The problem is
it's false. It's not real when you analyze it. It's euphoria.
It's
like hallucination.
It's more of a it changes the way you think. It kills your fears and all that. But mind you, these things are short-lived. Drugs, that's how they work. Drugs affect the limbic system, which is your reward system. The reward system, when you look at it, it's the one that has the neurotransmitters, the dopamine, and then it forces it to release more and more of these things. So even if you did something that's nice, like eat something that's nice, your mind will always tell you to repeat doing that thing. If you did something and it was bad, your reward system will make sure that you're not going to do that thing again. Hence, when people start drugs, they feel that it becomes so nice that they have to go back. But I didn't go back the next day or the next weekend. But every time I had an opportunity, I would go and use cocaine. Fast forward, years pass by. We were at a club, we were partying, we were drinking, we were smoking again. I had a chance of doing coke. We go into an altercation with somebody. I don't want to lie to you. That was the life-changing moment of my life, but not really.
What had caused the altercation?
It's a very, very small, and I don't want to call it stupid, but I would say it's a
silly.
it's a silly one. I shouldn't have been engaged in such a thing. Had I been sober, I could have taken another route, And I really feel bad about what happened. I took out a bet during a fight.
Bet?
Softball bet during a fight. We are fighting, and then I saw an opportunity. I pulled it out. Two guys, we fought. It went bad.
You hit them?
I hit them.
In the head?
Yeah, one of them I hit them on a cranium. Yeah, and it was really bad. I thought he was dead at that time. I even stopped for a minute. I was like, okay, this guy's dead. Everybody was screaming, you killed somebody. I was like, I guess this comes to this. It took less than a second for that to happen, and everything around me felt like it was crashing. The first person I called after I walked out of that place was my mother. I told her I killed somebody, and I told her to help me. I don't know what to do. I tried to go smoke. I tried to drink. I was by Windlin, that side. I went to Spotonyana, tried to drink. It didn't even go down.
The police were not called?
The police came late, from what I've seen. For me, it was just like, I'll be waiting for the police. But days passed, no police came, Days, months, and that guy, I was told, no, he's okay. I was told the next day that he's okay. But days later, he had some complications. It was bad. And then when the police were called, I guess they never found me at that time. I went back to school. And when in South Africa, when I came
you ran away?
No, I didn't run. I went to school.
Oh, okay.
No police came to me.
Oh.
Yeah, I didn't run. After doing
something. You
something.
left the scene of a crime.
Yeah, I left the scene of a crime.
That's the running I'm referring to.
I'd say I ran away, but I wasn't running. I was put into a car, so I drove away.
Okay. Yes.
So I was driven away. So South Africa, when I came back one time, I went to do my affidavit. And then when I got to the police, somebody just said, this is the guy. Automatically I knew that, it has come to that. And for some reason, in my heart, I was actually happy it happened.
Because the guy did recover.
Yeah, he did recover.
But it wasn't serious injury.
It was serious. That's why it was now going to be a registered case. It was bad, They took me to the police cells. They took me out. My parents came. They said they're going to register a case a year later. That whole year was so much of a problem. I drank so much. I smoked so much. I started using a bit of cat here and there, because it was too much for me. The stress of thinking I might go to prison and all that. And then a year later, fast forward, a year later I go to court. That's when everything started. Mind you, I was only 22 at that time. I was young. And I knew that it had to come to something. I wanted everything to end, whether I go to prison or I don't. I just wanted to end. I didn't tell my parents when I started going to court because I just felt it was too much of a burden for my mom, who had lost my father and all that, and now I'm coming with these news. I'm supposed to be in SA getting my degree and all that. Now I'm here, things are not going well. But I just kept quiet, and I started going to court. I started frequenting court. I went to court for 4 years. That's when I started drinking a lot and using a lot of drugs.
Why 4 years? I thought you said 1 year.
No. Court, it took 1 year for them to register the case.
Oh.
It took 4 years.
For it to be heard.
Yeah.
It was just postponement.
People don't understand something about court. That's how court works. You when you get there, that's when they check if are they going to remand you in prison or you will come for the.
They call it mention, yeah.
No. I agree. When they take you to prison, it's when you get remanded. So that's when they check will you mention from prison, or they should give you bail application. They gave me bail. Fortunately, I didn't know what was happening. I was blank. I didn't know what was happening, but the prosecutor just saw me and was like, let's give him bail. They gave me bail.
And it dragged for 4 years.
It dragged for 4 years. I was mentioning every 3 months or every 4 months, That's when the drug intake became too much. The fights in the streets, I was more of becoming a broken soul. I came back to Botswana. I could no longer go that side. I started schooling the side. I was schooling in another university in Botswana now. And then I carried on. Yeah, I managed to go to my advanced diploma level, doing all the drugs and drinking fights.
So how did you turn the situation around? I'm interested in that part.
I think, my story has too many turnarounds and relapses. Looking at the fact that when I went to prison, I was sentenced to prison in 2014. Not sentenced. I was found guilty 2014. January 2015, I was sentenced to prison. January. That was the last time I ever had a line of cat or coke. When they told me I'm going to prison.
How many years?
1 year, 2 months. But I was sentenced to 2 years. So when you get to prison, there's what you call remission.
Yes.
They remove 8 months. They remove 8 months. It's
about a third, yeah.
Yeah, it's 1/3 of your sentence, which is 8 months for 2 years. I was supposed to do 16 months, but I only did 14. So
because
there's what you call extramural also. If you are left with a year, you can apply for it. So they give you that thing, and it's more like community.
So you were convicted for what? For assault?
Grievous bodily harm.
Causing grievous bodily harm.
Yeah.
You didn't have a defense?
At first I would say I didn't have much of a defense. But I would say it's God's doing. If it wasn't for that, I'm telling you, I wouldn't be off drugs. I don't want to lie to you.
So prison helped you because?
Prison changed my life, because when I got there, I started having realization that I'm in another world that I never planned to be in. We usually have aspirations, we usually have dreams when we're growing up. But all of those dreams were just crushed when I saw myself in a place where I thought only bad people go. But it's only the choices that we make that take us there. So some of these choices I had to change so that I don't repeat that lifestyle. It's more of a lifestyle that many people don't picture themselves in. I never pictured myself in prison. I saw a lot of people come in and out of prison, but when I got there, I was like, for me to just deal with this thing is for me to accept the situation that I'm in, and just say I need to change the situation that I'm in. And I thought drugs dragged me here. If it wasn't for drugs, I could have made better choices. So looking at it, that's when I decided, you know what, I'm changing everything. I didn't smoke in prison because I believe that I don't want to become more of a slave of a substance inside prison, because working for something, it's too much. And that's when I started learning other ways of surviving in prison, the money, the business, and all that.
You can run a business from prison.
The business that I'm talking about is business in prison.
What do you mean?
Sell things, When I got into prison, that's what I did. For you to survive, for you to buy food, you need to sell something. I started off selling weed inside prison. I'm sorry to say that, but yeah. I started off selling weed, and I sold also what's known as mablara, tobacco. And then also we are dealing airtime. That's how you make your money, and you buy people. They wash your blankets. You buy people so that they clean off your space. They give you that food.
So there's a whole economy going on.
There's a whole economy
underground.
Yeah.
Or with the blessings of the...
Nothing like the blessings of the gods. Yeah. Here and there you can buy a god if you can. But they can turn around you, around and backstab you also. Because it's their job to catch you. You know, they can do whatever, but they can also betray you. So it was more of a learning experience, and it taught me a whole lot of things. It taught me discipline. It taught me to think outside the box. You know, it taught me patience. You know, when I got there, I was so much impatient. One day in prison, it's like 5 years, 4 years. It takes a whole lot of time. I used to sit down and just lie on my back and look at the sky because I didn't want to see the environment around me because it was too much.
Yeah.
But once I started accepting and seeing ways of passing time, that's when I realized that if you control this place instead of it controlling you, you can actually move from here to there. And then I started also seeking some spiritual upliftment. Because when you're there, you're broken inside. You can't always look good, but inside you're broken. That's when I started turning to God also. I was like, you know what, God, take the wheel, I'm going to try. People were laughing at me, like, why
Take
the wheel, you know. People were like, you're going to church, what's wrong? Hey, don't worry, man, it's nothing. Don't be that scared. Why are you going to church? I was like, I need to heal. You know. And the sad part about it, when
Is this the church that comes?
church that comes
once a week, sort of thing.
Yeah.
Like Adventists or.
Yeah. There were a lot of churches that came to prison.
Did you attend all of them? Or?
I attended every one of them. That was an opportunity to see different people from outside.
Yes.
You are tired of seeing the same people.
Yes.
You know, that wall is so tall. That's all you see. You know? So when I was still in prison also, I got a phone call, you know. One of my friends told me, like, your friend is out there.
I used to do this prison. In fact, I still do from time to time under the banner of the SDA Church. I visit and I preach there, you know, on Sabbath. It's very, very challenging type of ministry. The
SDA Church, I attended it when I was in Khanti then, and there was one in Khanti. That was really good. It was a chance to, like, you know, think about your life, think about God, think about how you can fix your situation.
Yes.
And I'd like to praise people who go there. I'd like to say to them, keep on doing that because it's helping somebody. Sometimes it might look like it's not.
So what inspired you to start a movement? You know,
my movement, it started in prison. When I was in prison, that's when I realized a couple of things. I got a phone call about my friend, and people are laughing. Bantabare, they were saying, hey, your friend is down. You know,
what does that mean, down?
Like, she's a nobody. She was my girlfriend at that time. But when I got into prison, she got into another mess, you know. And then the people were telling me, man, she's no longer that same person. She doesn't look good and all that. You know, and I thought to myself, it could have been me in that situation where these people gonna laugh at me the same way they're doing to her. 2 weeks later, another friend of mine passes away. He overdoses. You know, it's sad when you get these news and these kind of news, and where now you are there in prison and you are healing, and you are being saved from a situation. Now you're realizing the effects of it now, because now you are using a sober mind to get that. That's when I decided, you know what, we need to do something about this. When I get out, I need to talk about this. I need to align with any organization that deals with issues of alcohol and substance abuse, because I knew I had a drug problem. So I thought maybe that's the way I can get more help after this, because I knew I can't do it alone. Because when I get out, I knew. Yeah, but like fast forward to it, when I got out of prison, the first day out of prison, guess what? There were so much drugs on the table. But I just said to them...
Women on the table?
Well, the guys who came to get me in prison.
They brought drugs?
They took me to a house, and there was a lot of drugs. They even bought coke for me, and then there was cat. And they were like, yeah, welcome back.
Right here in Gabs?
Right here in Gabs. These things happen.
Has Gabs become Sodoma and Gomorrah?
Too much. You know, these days it's so worse. We used to buy a sachet of cat for 100 pula. These days it goes for 30 pula, 50 pula, depending on who's selling it, and how they're cutting
And I'm
it.
told that even sometimes it's been spiced with other substances to just make it bigger.
Yeah, they do that. They do that a lot. They do that a lot. That's why they can even make it much cheaper. I had somebody I know who was caught.
They say they
drugs.
can mix it with Vim.
Some guy they gave him what was this Blue Death. Yeah, it went bad. It went bad.
You took him out?
No.
Nearly took him out.
Yeah, he started having sores all over his body. Yeah, it was bad. So when I got out,
Because you can't complain, isn't it? It's
No,
drugs.
no.
You
Where
can't
can
complain
you
about
complain?
quality.
Yeah, it's hard to complain. It's more of a gamble. It's more of a gamble. When you don't get good drugs, you move away from your dealer. You find another dealer.
Yes, I'm still want to get to this turning point. What really inspired you to start the movement? What was there? An experience where you had an epiphany, where you said, "As of tomorrow, the big change occurred"?
No. The change came when I saw my friends are struggling. When you get out of prison, the things they've been telling you about, when you start seeing those people, now you start realizing. Because when you are using, you can't see those things. You're under the influence. You can't. When a child is eating like sugar and you're telling them that their teeth are gonna fall off, do you think they're gonna see that? No, they're not. They're having fun. That's what was happening to us. But now when I was not having that sugar, that white powder, I could see it clearly. First day I came out, I told them, no, I don't want drugs anymore. They told me, you're still scared, you just got out of prison. I was like, no, I'm not scared. I'm actually making a sound decision that will help me prosper in the future. Little did I know that it was a journey. It was a journey. That's when I started talking about drugs. Drugs are bad. This is what they did to me. This is what I
Did you change
to
your
my
friends? I mean, any friend. For
At
me,
first
any
I
friend who gives me drugs, I have to run away from such a
Yeah,
person.
at first I didn't change. At first I didn't change any friends, because I
kept the
felt
same people?
I kept the same people.
The users.
Yeah, the users. It was more of, let me tell you something about this life. When you get into such a life, there's a point where you feel outcasted, you feel like you are ashamed to other people. The only people who can understand you are the people who do drugs. Even when I got out of prison, some of the people that I used to hang out with were ex-convicts only because I felt they understood me much better. We had something to talk about. Even when I stopped drugs, I thought I had something to talk about with those guys. I can inspire them by being with them. And then I went on and I started talking about these things. People are saying, hey, Stooks, wap up and all that. I was like, no, I'm not. I'm trying to sensitize people on what's happening, what happened to me and all that. But I also fell off the bandwagon as I was doing these things. We registered an NGO. We started talking about these drugs.
What's it called?
Drug Free is the New Cool. But it started off as
Drug Free is the New Cool, yes.
It started off as Drugs Are Not Cool movement, but when registered, it was Drug Free is the New Cool. So we started talking about these things, and we did a couple of things around. We talked to people, but I was more of a, I don't know how to put it. I was more of a person who was preaching something and who was doing something. I was.
You're not practicing what you preached.
I was, like I told you, the alcoholic part of it. I have another substance use disorder that I suffer from, and I didn't
So
realize.
you left the hard drugs, but you stayed with alcohol.
Yeah, I made an excuse to stay on alcohol. I told people that I quit the hard drugs. Why should I quit alcohol? Everybody's doing it. Everybody's having fun. Why am I the one to be pointed out and say, and you guys are trying to tell me quit alcohol? No, because you're advocating for drugs. No, I'm drinking and I'm telling people don't do drugs. But I guess those people saw something that I couldn't see. They saw how alcohol was making me suffer. I lost out a couple of things, Nigetrina, karate and stuff like that. Couple of things that I did with cleaning, everything fell off. Everything fell off, it was that bad. But I kept on drinking. I kept on smoking. But 2017, I said, no, I have to quit smoking. I remember the day I decided that I was like, my lungs have had enough. You know, also weed, I said, no, enough with the weed. I don't want it anymore. It's making me slow. I don't work. I don't do anything. But
You become sleepy, right?
yeah.
And sluggish.
I was more of sluggish and I was lost in my thoughts every time I smoked. I would be lost in my thoughts.
Okay.
So,
Are you running this entity NGO on business principles? And if so, how do you run it?
the sustainability part of it, sometimes it has to go to that point. I'm looking at the fact that sometimes you don't have much of sponsors, you know. But I'll move on to firstly to how we started off making it a more recognizable brand. You know, I believe in branding. I believe in taking out your brand and making it visible to the people so that people understand what your cause is about. I put the marketing aspect of it out there. You know, I started knowing that, you know what, if you put your brand out there, brand awareness is very important. People can start relating to your brand and knowing what it does. Every time they see that logo, they see whatever, they see a t-shirt with that logo, they can now relate to everything that you have been talking about, and it can spark something in somebody's brain. I believe that people who need help in drugs, they're more like even clients. You know, you have to reach out to them. You have to spark something in them. You have to attract them. You have to show them where can you find help.
So what was your branding or marketing strategy?
The dial, my marketing strategy when we developed it, it was more of a centered around the brand awareness. We're going to create something. It's more appealing to the youth, because the youth are the ones who are more of our target market, even though we had other people who were suffering from drug addiction. But we would say, who in this place, there's a lot of youth in terms of population. So we created a brand that will be more appealing to the youth. And then after that, we said, how can we do it? Make money through brand awareness also. We created a merchandise that we sold so that it can sustain the movement. Sustainability of the movement, because we wouldn't charge people to come and talk to them about drugs at that point. You know, we thought it would
Made no sense, didn't it?
Yeah.
It seems a bit techy to charge somebody to come and...
Yeah.
But you still have to make money.
You see, that's where the problem comes in. You grow with time. You know what happens? When you start something, you have this vision, but it will take another 10 when you start encountering other problems. Like you think that when you start something and you're doing good and you're helping people, everybody's just going to jump in and say, you know what, let me pop in, let me sponsor you, let me do this. But it's not how it works. You know, it's not how it works. You have to really work hard. You have to go through a lot of challenges. And when that time comes, volunteers need to be there. How do you keep your volunteers? You need money. There's going to be a point where you say, those who can, we do this thing for you. We offer this type of service. We do outreaches, we educate, do psychoeducation. And then what you do, we don't call it paying. We call you donate towards us.
Talk about the brand that is on your shirt, the drug abuse. What's the rest of this logo and what? And I see a hand as well.
Yeah, the hand usually we go. Oh, it's written stop with a cursive. The hand usually it's a stop sign. It's stop. You know, like stop drug abuse. You know, it's something that we said we wanted to communicate directly. We didn't want to hide it. We wanted people to realize the problem that you're having. We didn't want to sugarcoat it. And then we moved on to the drug free is the new cool. We realized that the younger generation were creating a drug culture that everybody thought it was cool. But how do we change from that? We should start branding being drug free as the new cool. You know. So that's how we worked upon it. We were like, okay, let's create something that will catch the eye. Even the colors. Red always catches somebody's eye. I don't think I would...
sorry to interrupt, but how do you change from hopelessness to hope?
In an organization? Or?
No, from your own personal
Oh,
journey.
from my own personal journey. Yeah, it's another journey now. I told you the first phase. Now I'm in the second phase. I'm losing out everything. My friends are making it. By the way, my friends are really making it in the corporate world, wherever, the business world. And for some reason, I always felt like, why am I not making it? Why is God doing this to me? What's wrong with me? And then I realized that it's not God doing that to me. God has been trying to protect me. I'm the one who's doing this to myself. I'm the one who can take myself out of this because I'm the one who's making these decisions. I'm the one who can now stand up and say, enough is enough. I found myself sleeping in my car for some time.
Really?
Yeah, I slept in the car for some time.
Steve Harvey says he spent 3 years sleeping in his car. So maybe you're getting somewhere.
Maybe I'm getting somewhere. Maybe
How long were you sleeping in the car?
I'd say it depends. It would go for 3-4 months. Then I would go home, but when I get home, I feel like they don't understand.
Home is to your parents.
Home is to my parents' place, But I felt like they were nagging me. They made too much
You'd
noise.
sleep what? You'd find just a quiet parking lot.
Yeah, parking lots and mostly modiflating, or sport or some sort, or just ask friends for.
You don't have people knocking.
No,
After a while,
no.
What's happening here?
No. I don't know what people. I was lucky, especially sometimes I'd find if I knew you and I knew how to open your gate, I just open your gate. I park inside your yard. I sleep 6:30. I'm up. I go to the bars. We used to have one bar that used to open around 6:30. It was a liquor restaurant. So it.
So how would you shower and so on?
No, come on. Showering, it's not much. I only need to shower once in 3 days. Yeah, that's the life. That's the life. You just take water, you just splash on your face. Or when you are just chilling with people, you can ask somebody, hey, can I pass by your house? And all that. It's just that's a shower. And that's when I realized that it's too much for me. I'm actually.
You felt you had reached rock bottom.
Yeah, I was. It was a rock bottom for me. It was a rock bottom for me. I made so many excuses to stay there. One of the excuses was like, I just got out of prison. I'm still trying to fix my life. I'm still trying to cope. But I had so many years out of prison. It was 2019. I got out of prison in 2016, and I'm still saying the same thing. And then I decided, you know what? Enough is enough. It was around 3 a.m. I was sleeping in the car. I was cold. I was like, I'm going home. If they're going to kill me, they're going to kill me. But I have to tell them I'm back home now. I need to change my life. The first thing that I did...
You suppressed your pride, as it were.
Yeah.
Or you swallowed it, like they say.
I swallowed it. I knew that my battle was over of trying to act hard. It was time now. I took a stand and changed my life. I went home. I got home. I told them, they opened the door, went to sleep. I didn't want to wake up the next morning before they left the house. After they left the house, I did one of the funniest things. I went on Facebook and I wrote, I've quit alcohol. I was like, I've quit alcohol. I went to the bar. I told people I've quit alcohol. They laughed at me. They were like, listen, man, not you. Not you. You can't. We know you. You're a party animal. You are the life of the party. You drink. I was like, no, I'm tired. I'm tired of you guys giving me 20 pullers for a quarter. I'm tired of you giving me 20 pullers so that I can buy a beer, then I break your ice and what. I have so much ambition. I was intelligent at school. What am I doing here? Is this the type of life I'm going to live? I told them, no way. But they kept on laughing. They made bets. I was like, okay, this is not the right place to quit. I said, the first church I see, I'm going to go into it. And then I'm just going to...
This was still in 2019.
It's 2019.
Yeah, that particular day.
Yeah.
When you...
It's 2019.
You had an epiphany.
It's 2019. So I go to church and then I tell them I've quit drugs, but I'm struggling with my alcohol. To my surprise, people are happy. They stood up, they clapped. It was the first time I saw people being happy that you want to quit alcohol. It was my first time. I never had such support. And I knew right away that this is the right place where I can quit my alcohol. This is the right place where I can make other better decisions. I did that. Yeah, fast forward. Months later, my friend is having a wedding. I relapse.
What caused the relapse?
People were drinking
They're
expensive
offering.
whiskey. They're offering. It was a vibe. I was like, one last time. And it was indeed one last time. But the 4 or 5 days, I drank like I wanted to kill myself. But when I got out of that place, I remember driving back home after 4 days. I was like, my life starting to change from today. I took the decision. I don't want to lie to you. Ever since I took that decision, the decision was so good for me. And also, it really, really helped the organization in terms of now me pulling up through for it, Because most of the time when you don't do things, other people won't do it, I was more of a leader in this organization.
Yeah, you have to lead by example.
Yeah, so if the leader is more of not up to it, nobody's going to follow through. So things started to change. We started to be more active. We started knocking on more doors. When you're sober, when you knock on doors, even if they close it, you move from one door to another. Have you learned something from the other door that closed? Now you use it to go and open the other door.
Yes.
I always tell people that no matter how many doors close, there will be that one big door that's going to open, and it's going to keep on opening others. Sometimes they will close again, but as long as you reach your goals. And that's when I started seeing something. When I was drinking, when I did my targets, when I did my goals, when I set my goals, I never had dates. I was like, okay, until I find this. But I started realizing that if you set a date, it forces you to do that.
It energizes you.
It energizes you. It's more of it's pushing a bit of pressure, but at the end, every time you succeed, there's something inside of you that says we made it, and you get that smile. I've worked, I've managed to do a couple of things, and even if some of them they didn't even pay, but the only thing that made me happy was seeing people saying thank you. You helped us in this way, and I know that we did it because we worked collectively towards getting it, and we never stopped it any day. So
that's a very interesting story. Now, the movement you've started, who are your followers? Who are your members?
Oh, okay. I'd say we have an executive committee. There's the chairperson, the vice chairperson, and also we have the treasurer, we have the PR for the person who's doing the PR, and you have the secretary, vice secretary also. It's a board of like 5 people.
Formally registered with SIPA?
Formally registered, no, not SIPA.
Yeah, the other one, Registry of Societies.
Registry of Societies. We registered 2017. Yeah, that's the only way you can survive if you register something. If you don't register, it's gonna be one problem.
It's going to be like a scam, isn't it?
Yeah, it's gonna be like a scam, But I tell people, like, the more people see, like, if you the transparency part of it, if it becomes more transparent, it becomes good. People who are on the board are people who don't work for it full time. The people.
You're the only one who's full time.
I'm the only one who's full time. I'm the only one who's full time, and then we work with people by lot. They're volunteers. People in marketing are usually we have that commission for if you get this type of money for this project. You're gonna get this, because we don't have money that's flowing.
Yes, but you do approach sponsors or grantors or whatever.
Yeah, we do approach them. Sometimes, running an NGO is something that's very, very, I don't know.
Challenging?
Challenging. Looking at the fact that sometimes you have to, when I do something, I give it my all. But in the process, when you're giving it your all, and then you hear that there's a grant coming up, you have to go and apply for it. But you have to finish that thing. You have to choose. Do I leave that
both?
thing? We are short-staffed. We are short-staffed. That one is a fact. We are short
Grant
staffed.
writing, isn't it?
And you go to a point where stationery, even stationery, it's expensive for us. You know, printing on its own is expensive. That's why I like people who say send through my email. You know, but when you apply for these other grants, you have to make piles of papers. You know, piles of papers means more time. I remember there was a time when we did piles of papers for one grant, and then next thing the grant is closed, nobody's getting anything. They're still trying to do some, I don't know if it's the audits or whatever, where they were supposed to sponsor the Ministry of Health. They opened it up last time and then they closed it. You know, it was so draining because we used so much energy to try and get that, and then they close it. Next thing was it this year. We're in the middle of a project, we're far, and then I see somebody sends me something. They says like, it's left with 1 week.
Just a grant to
to
respond to.
And I was like, you know what? God shall provide other means. But I know we'll get it.
It would have taken too long to leave what you're doing to focus on it.
Yeah, it would. It would. Motivating people to just do your work, sometimes, if it's not paying, it's something else. You only run with people with passion. I myself, I run with passion. There were times where even my family was like, Tumelo, we found a job for you. I'm like, no, I don't want that job. I want to leave a legacy that's going to help others behind me. And I want to do something. This is my baby. It's my little nana. I want to see it make change and a positive impact. And I want to be there one day and say, I made this happen. We made this happen.
Let me ask you, any success stories that you can talk about in terms of people you helped turn around, or incidents where you had an impact?
Success stories, there are a couple of success stories. Even before I quit alcohol, I made a lot of impact. You know, I ran with people, but some of them they quit. Some of them they just got motivated.
Well, you can mention one or two without necessarily mentioning names.
Yeah, I can't mention names. It's a hard one.
Just tell us generalities.
Yeah. No, we've had people who were suffering from substance use disorder, but using crack is one of the most addictive drugs you can ever think of. You know,
it's a form of cocaine.
Yeah, it's cocaine. It's a base form cocaine. They heat it up and then they get that. It's more like it's in its purest form. So there were a couple of ladies. By Lord, they've changed their lives around. You know, some are working, some have achieved a lot. They've managed to go back to school, you know. And
you found them like what? And now you intervened, ABC, and then what is the result? I want you to be very pedantic about it.
Oh, okay. Yeah. No, it's more of people reaching out to you. Because we are more active also on social media. We share our recovery stories. We share our stories and like that. People will come to you and say, you know what, I need to change my life. I need help here. You know? Then we do this.
So this young lady came.
Yeah, she came. We started talking. She told me like, you know what, I'm taking a decision to quit, and I've seen what you've done. I've seen what you've done for yourself. Can you be somebody who's there to help me? I was like, no, you know what, you're gonna help yourself. I'm gonna be your support system. I'm going to be there with you along the way, the journey through everything. And I'll also find somebody to do a bit of counseling there here and there, you know, so that they create a program. You know, that's when you start we created what do you call this, groups, support groups. We also had a
WhatsApp group.
Yeah, it was a WhatsApp group and also one-on-one groups, you know. We had those so that people that we are helping, they can also relate and push each other, motivate each other.
I've heard someone argue that you also need to send some people for rehabilitation, and that has to be an important component of recovery. Is that true?
It depends on when you get to rehab, when you ask for help. That's what happens. There's what you call they assess you. You know, you have to be assessed. well, which stage of addiction are you in, substance use disorder, because there are different stages. You might be at the entry level, which is the first one. Yeah, you're experimenting, and then from experimenting, it's regular use, intensive use, compulsive use. So if you're at compulsive use stage, you get a lot of side effects from that when you're trying to quit, withdrawals and all that. So you might need a bit of pharmacotherapy, where you're given pills and all that to cope with your situation.
So that you
your
quit
fevers,
gradually.
so that,
You're weaned out of it.
Yeah. So it depends on the level that you are in and the type of drug, the withdrawal, it's a thing. So yeah, rehab is also inpatient. Rehab is
It's called
inpatient and outpatient. Outpatient is the one that we mostly do, where you meet a recovery coach and also you meet an addiction counselor. But inpatient, that's when you are taken in there. So that when you go and see your clinical psychologist, you go there, you see the doctors, they check if you're okay. You see, you have daily routines there, because you need to detox at that place. Because if you're not there, you'll easily go back to.
So which one you are more outpatient type?
We are more outpatient. We don't have facilities.
Yes.
No, you don't have facilities. We are more outpatient. So even and also the people that I see a lot of parents coming with kids. I see a lot of parents, and we've had a lot of success stories.
I have a neighbor in Block 8. I won't mention names for obvious reasons.
Yeah.
Who the kid really got deep into drugs to the point where he started being violent towards the child, and they were very, very desperate at the time. So I wonder whether there's anything you can do for parents at that stage, and for the children.
Yeah, like I said, when somebody comes in, it's more of you have to look at the situation first, And at least the audits that people use, like even for screening, you have to screen somebody when they come in, to see the level. Sometimes you find that it has affected that person really, really bad in the mind, where they need to see
so it's a form of mental
psychiatrist,
illness.
Where they have to see a psychiatrist. Addiction in its own level, it's a chronic brain disease. It's a chronic illness. It's a lifetime thing, like I said the first time we were small. So you have to go through such things, and then they will tell you like, hey, this one, maybe they this one, they're okay, they can go and see this. But sometimes people just become violent because of how they respond to who's talking to them.
Well, they used to be violent towards the mother when they want money, they want to go out. It was really bad.
Yeah, when they want money and want to go out.
Because the things start disappearing, the stealing,
That's the funny thing about recovery. Usually people recover after rock bottom. Usually that's what happens. Most people, they if they don't want that help, they build the resistance. But I'm not saying parents shouldn't try. Parents should do that. You know why? My mom always tried. My mom always said it. But the time when I was in rock bottom, remember this, her words came to my head. Tumelo Sengawane, why are you doing this to yourself? Friends, I've been there. That's when you start realizing, but people have been telling me, I need to find help. That's when you know that you have support. Usually people don't quit because they know they don't have support most of the time. Family structure is very important sometimes. And also support from the community. Recovery, there are a lot of aspects when it comes to recovery.
Okay.
But if you know somebody, they can come through.
Any upcoming activities?
Yeah. Right now we've been doing a consultation with the Debswana. We had a campaign inside the mine. This campaign it's been running for one and a half months.
What does it entail?
It entails psycho education and also I'd say testimony and motivational speaking. Yeah. We give that so that we reach out to people. They look for help. The whole reason for it is so that people know that recovery is possible, and so that they can open up for help.
So you put yourself as an example, and you share your story.
I share my story.
It's more impactful.
It's more impactful that way, because when you are when you are using drugs, you usually need some sort of hope, to grab onto. When you see somebody recovering, when you see somebody recovered, it gives you that hope. It gives you that strength, and you're like, okay. And also we have another one. We just came back this year. We are doing awareness walks. We did one Gaborone, Mompoloki. They were packed.
That involves what? What's an awareness?
Oh yeah. Oh, okay. In our walks, what we usually do is we use visuals to send out messages, to communicate. We move along doing chants about drugs and alcohol, so that the community knows about this, and those who join us understand what we are there for. Before the walk starts, there's communication that happens, and then also a bit of survey, 10, 20 people here and there. And then take a walk, come back, talk to them, leaders of the community, address the community about the whole problem that we are facing and all that. Because it's a problem that we have to talk about and see how we can solve it as a community. Because if you don't come together, we can't fix this thing. So we're using that to unite the community to fight against alcohol and substance use. Yeah, so we did one in Maung. Now we have to do one in Francistown. Hopefully, it's supposed to be October, end of October, and then we are back in Janing also for the whole thing. Yeah.
Okay. Yes, we're still telling me about your activities.
Yeah, and also we also have one that's gonna come up. Our intended date is supposed to be next year now, because of the packed schedule we have this year. We have one we call Journey into Self-Discovery. Journey into Self-Discovery, we're looking at people who are starting that journey of recovery, and also who are on that journey of recovery. We are trying to use nature to heal, create new activities that people can actually do, instead of doing the same things that they were doing when they were in active addiction. Usually we are doing these activities, abstaining from the alcohol, the drugs, and everything like that. We want to do it around the country, traveling around the country, sightseeing and all that, doing any type of activity that's there in that town or that village, that can... in the process, we are trying to also, what should I say, advertise those types of recreational places, but using that to also show these guys love.
So you're partnering with the owners, or the proprietors of these places?
Yeah, we go to them. We ask them, can you give us some sort of sponsor? Or give us
in terms of the venue.
Yeah, in terms of the venue, or in terms of activities that's there. If something you can at least, what should I say, discount us, so that we'll find another sponsor who will partly pay for this whole thing. So it's more of a trying to create self-love for people on recovery, because when on recovery or on active addiction, you meet a lot of traumas. A lot of things happen in drug houses.
Okay, what do you foresee the next 5-10 years for your organization and for you as a brand?
The next 5 years. The next 5 years.
5 to 10.
I'd like to start with the 5-1.
Yeah.
Because
yes, I understand.
Yeah, I'd like to start with the 5-1. In terms of prevention. Because it's treatment and prevention. In terms of prevention, I'd like to see having what you call a bit of outposts or clubs in schools that will inspire the youth to create their own activities in the school. Not us creating them creating them, and finding sustainable ways of running those organizations in those things. And also would like to see ourselves spreading out. Right now we have members in Mompoloki. Right now we have members in Maung, We still want to, everywhere we get to, we want to create outposts where people can go to and find information there, you know. We're not a big brand. We don't have money that's big, but we are going to be that big brand, that big household NGO brand. I'm telling you, I promise you.
Yeah.
Well, one day you're going to see,
Yeah.
you know, this man sat here and he told me this.
Yes.
And in terms of the awareness part of it, I want us to color the town, you know, with messages of hope where people can find help, you know. It's not enough. It's not enough. You know, I've seen a lot of gaps in the market for these things. You know, I don't want to call it market, but it's a market. You know, there are a lot of gaps that haven't been filled, you know. Training, I myself, I'm one person who still wants to grow in my leadership skills. That's why I always attend these civic leadership courses with other things like Yali and stuff like that.
Yes.
We apply for these Mandela Fellowship things. Hopefully we'll get there, you know.
Well, someone is listening. And
Yeah,
watching, hopefully.
you know,
But we have to apply.
we applied. I applied personally. You know, I also been to places like South Africa where I did a bit of benchmarking with other organizations that deal with this, from Golden Harvest Rehabilitation Center, which is run by Sanka. So I also went to Sanka so that I understand the whole things. You know, I want to be part of the people who develop that policy, the substance use policy. I want to be part of the people who push this thing. I want our organization, in terms of rehabilitation, to have a center which houses people, different centers, which houses people on
Throughout
recovery.
the country?
Throughout
or
the
even
country.
regionally?
Not, I'd say regionally, like not regionally, yeah, throughout the different regions.
Yes.
Yeah, because we can't have one rehab in one place.
Yeah.
You know, and also I'd like us to see, I'd like us in 10 years' time to have, I'd say, what do you call, housing communities to help people who are in active addiction as part of the reduction harm strategy that you need to have.
Do you need to partner with the Ministry of Health to achieve some of these objectives?
Ministry of Health, definitely it would add some sort of impact. You know, when you talk about volunteerism, if you have the Ministry of Health, how many psychiatrists can volunteer there? You know, that's where you get the pool of people. You know, you need them. You need them, and their financial muscle, obviously. But I know that we also for long-term sustainability, it would be a good thing. And also private entities, they need to put a hand in this, because it's not only the community outside that it affects them also. The employees. They end up becoming victims of such things, and then them being victims of such things, a lot of things happen in the organization. Misusage of a lot of things, the resources, because somebody's trying to sustain their habit and all that. You know, I had a friend who runs an organization. One time came to me, is like, you know, that time when you said you wanted to talk to my employees, and I said no, we're okay. I think this is the right time. After 2 years, he said that to me. After an employee used to get funds from the account, apparently he used to get 100 pullers, because they don't report. So, you know, that's how. And he was like, I think this thing, we are not immune to these things. So, us as a collective community in the business world and you know, everywhere, we need to fight this. And when we knock on doors, we bring transparency. People should open doors, look at what we are trying to achieve. They shouldn't look away from it and say, no, those topics are sensitive, what. No, it's sensitive when it hasn't happened to you. When it starts happening to you.
And
now,
your family members.
Your family members. That's when you feel it now.
Yeah. Do you have a positive outlook about the future? Is the drug problem going down with your interventions and others, or is it getting worse?
There are two sides of everything. Drugs are going up. A lot of factors are in, but we help those we help, and we right now we want to grow on the prevention strategy. Yeah. Because prevention at this point is very, very vital. is very vital so that the youth can understand. The more we teach, because of limited resources, I would say that there are a lot of limitations towards these kids getting the psycho-education that they need, you know. So we need to grow on these things and see how we can.
Time is a bit of our enemy, sir. So
Not a problem.
perhaps this is the time you want to ask me a question as we wrap up.
Yeah. I think everyone has asked you so many questions, but I'll ask you a question in my point of view. What can you say you can contribute towards the fight of alcohol and substance abuse as Mr. Mogobe?
Well, I'm highly supportive in the sense that I've had problems in my own family where people have fallen victim to this. But my contribution to date has been sporadic on an individual level when a family member requires help, to see whether we can take them for counseling, to see whether we can offer funds for rehabilitation and that kind of thing. So I have not done it in an organized and concerted way. There is one organization that occasionally comes to us for sponsorship. So to be honest, it's not an area where we are very active. But as an individual, we do sporadic things. That's the best answer I can give you.
Okay. I'd say you partially answered it, but I'd like to urge you as Mr. Mogobe that this fight, we have to really look into it because it's not far. It's not far from anyone. And when the time comes, you see that it's going to bend down everything from the economy to our homes,
If we don't address it, if we don't intervene.
We've been in countries where drugs were really bad, but imagine our population.
That's true. Sir, we've concluded our conversation. Just look at that camera. Leave the viewer with a motivational message and summary of what we discussed.
Okay. What I would like to say is your today does not determine your tomorrow. If you want to make change in your life, start now, And most of the best views come from the hardest climbs. That's where the best views comes from. I never said put yourself into trouble and saying I'm going to see the best views. But always work towards creating something great for yourself. Create something that's going to be amazing. Take out everything that you don't need. Yeah, in terms of alcohol and substance abuse, just make informed decisions. Stay away from drugs and live a drug-free life. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much for coming to share with us. Can you give them your contact details as we conclude, finally, where we can reach you?
Yeah, you can go on Facebook. That's where you can learn a lot from. On Facebook, you can go on Drug Free is the New Cool organization page. There's a lot there, our activities, information, and all that. And then also you can call our number, which is 75628502. Thank you.
Thank you very much indeed. Thank you so much for coming.
Thank you, big man.